left Memphis. It's time. Wolo friends on Sports 56. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Wolo. Look up on the wall. There on the wall.
Happy Monday morning. What a bounce-back game for the Tigers in Clemson, South Carolina. You see, Mr. Dacus, just what the Tigers' net dropped to today?
30, right?
Bingo!
Yeah, I saw
You're
that.
staying connected.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, because San Francisco won last night.
That's right.
So did Arkansas State. I'll get into that in a little bit. But the Tigers are now 30 in the net. Do you know how many quad one wins they have?
I don't.
There's only one team in the country besides Memphis
5, and it's Auburn.
that has. How did that come to you? You must have looked that up very quickly.
No. I saw it on. I think I saw it on Twitter this morning.
5.
Yeah.
Auburn is the only other team with 5. The teams that are chasing them have no more than 3.
Wow.
Unfortunately, the Tigers lost to Arkansas State is a quad 3 loss at the moment. And everybody above them, 29 and above, doesn't have the same amount of quad 1 wins, except for Auburn. But they don't have any quad 3 losses. That's probably why the Tigers are where they are. They should be ranked today. The rankings come out here in about an hour or so, and I look forward to seeing all of that. The Grizz, boy, they were flat to start the game against the Lakers last night. I don't know, were they out after the Nets game? Took that trip to L.A. and had a little too much fun? I don't know. They were so lacking in energy. Bad start, 20 points in the first quarter, couldn't recover. But you know who came back last night and looked pretty decent?
Zach Edey.
Big man did, yeah. I think he's going to work out in the long run. I really do. And that would make, with the 2 first-rounders in Wells and Cam Spencer, you got to admit this will turn out to be a fruitful draft for the Memphis Grizzlies if they keep all these guys. We'll have to wait and see how all of that plays out because it is trading season. And I don't know if you saw this. I told you I would mention Arkansas State last night. Do you know how many they were down with 16 and a half to go in the game?
I know did they trail by as many as 27 at one point? Is that what it was?
16:33
Wow.
left in the game. They're down 27
That's crazy.
points. It was the biggest comeback since 2018. So in 6 years, biggest comeback in overtime. They end up beating UAB. UAB, the team picked to beat Memphis, in last in the AAC. They are under 500, 5-6. That's crazy.
It's not good, no.
How do you blow a lead like that?
Nah,
And
it's tough.
here's the question I have. Do you recover from blowing a lead like that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, at home, too. I mean, they had everything working in their favor.
I'm starting to rethink because I honestly don't think Arkansas State's a really good team. In fact, I think Louisiana Tech's a better team. Louisiana Tech, by the way, what are they? Their record is really good. If you go look and see what they have done in CUSA, they were. I don't know if they're the best team by standings at this point, but I think they will be the best team. And Memphis struggled with them a little bit until they ended up winning by double digits at the end. But that Arkansas
they're
State
9-2.
team, yeah, that's what I thought. So they're pretty good. They lost to Memphis, and I don't know who else they lost to, but probably a decent team. But Arkansas State, my goodness. Don't forget this team lost to Hofstra. This team lost to Rice. Then they go and beat UAB when they were down 27 with 16 and a half to go. I give them a lot of credit for making the biggest comeback since 2018. Tigers football team in Frisco already. They still remain a 4.5-point favorite. They lost 3 DBs now to the portal. That's a little worrisome, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So they lose 2 guys that play a lot. They lose DJ Bell, and they lose, and I was a little surprised that, and Darius Coffey.
I was very surprised.
actually left. So you got to figure they're getting Power 4 money, right? And that's why they would leave. I can't understand why they wouldn't. They got enough playing time. They seem to like everybody from what my interactions with them have been. Tyron Taylor, that's not a major loss. He's the guy that transferred from Colorado, didn't play that much. They do have Cortland Marsh back there, who was not playing earlier in the year, is playing now. You can play 4 games, so he's going to get a redshirt year this year, basically. So that's a guy who will start. So you're really down one guy that you really were counting on. But, and Coffey, he's a kick returner and everything else. So I was surprised. It's got to be that kind of money. But the Tigers, I think, are motivated. Look, they made the final college football playoff committee's top 25. That's there for good. And if they win this game, and they're favored, then they will be forever in the top 25 for the year 2024. So that's, I think, motivation. Hennigan and all the other seniors that are leaving that have not opted out, those guys are going to be around. In fact, there's not a senior that opted out of this game. So I still think Memphis will take care of business. We'll have to wait and see. It is interesting because West Virginia really only lost one key guy who is a linebacker whose father played in the NFL, Trotter. But other than that, they got most guys back. We'll see how motivated they are with an interim coach. I've seen it work both ways. Most of the time, I think the interim coach loses, but look what happened to the Tigers in Western Kentucky in the Boca Bowl several years ago. When Jeff Brown left, they put one on the Tigers. I don't think that'll happen this time, but we can see that it will. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studio. They do have a new sale. It's the Christmas sale. How about a new pool table, shuffleboard, arcade game for the holidays? You can help them clear out the overstock of theater seating. It's all priced to move. Fire pits, 20 to 30% off. Spas now. This is the new addition in the sale. Up to $1,500 off in stock and ready for delivery items. Go by. Check out all the great holiday deals in their gigantic showroom that looks so good right now. I-40 and Whidden Road. That is Family Leisure. We do a thing on Mondays. We call it Precious and Not So Precious Metals. I got a lot of them. I'm going to give a bronze medal to the 3 shooting by both the Dallas Mavericks and the Golden State Warriors last night. They combined to make 48 threes. Holy mackerel. Klay Thompson, 7 of 11, 29 points, 7 of 11 from 3. So he made 7. To beat his old team. So it was a good visit for Klay Thompson. It was Luka, though, that really beat him. 45 points, 11 rebounds, 13 assists. A triple-double in that win. I got to give a bronze to Milwaukee and to Oak City because they made the finals of the NBA Emirates Cup. Thunder, 4.5-point favorites for tomorrow's game. Milwaukee's been a great story, though. Remember how bad they started? I want to say they started like 2-11. They have won 12 of their last 15. No, they were 2-8. That's what they were. And now they are with winners 12-3 in their last 15. That's pretty positive stuff. I am going to give a silver medal to the Chicago Cubs because they got Kyle Tucker from the Houston Astros in an interesting deal. But with him in right field now, I don't know what they're going to do with Belanger. I really don't. But I think with all the talent they've got, that move might have secured a World Series berth. Just remember, I said that on December the 16th. Silver medal to the Cubs. To the Buffalo Bills offense, they get a silver medal. Do you realize, Brian Dacus, they have scored 30 or more points in 8 straight games?
Wow.
That's incredible.
That is incredible.
Yesterday, 48 points against the Lions. Would they have 42 the week before in a loss to the Rams? I think you got to seriously consider Josh Allen as the MVP.
For sure.
I feel bad for Detroit. We'll get to that in a little bit. But, boy, that offense and Josh Allen, that is terrific. I got to give a gold medal to Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Who won the Heisman Trophy. He's the first guy that played defense since Charles Woodson beat out Peyton Manning many, many years ago. I must, in all honesty, confess I did not vote for him. He was my second pick. My third pick was Dylan Gabriel. I went with Genty, the running back at Boise, who had 2,500 yards.
He's incredible.
You can't stop him with one guy. And Boise isn't where they are without him. And he said he thought he should have won it. I would agree with him.
Yeah.
But I can't complain too much about Hunter. And I thought Hunter was funny in his acceptance speech. He was very good. So Travis Hunter gets a gold, and so did the Tiger basketball team. Back from the depths of a terrible loss against Arkansas State at home, and they go on the road to number 16, Clemson, where the last game they played at Little John, they had beaten Kentucky, ranked 5th in the country at the time, and the Tigers take care of business there. That was impressive to me. They should be in the rankings today. Those are all of my good medals.
Well, I only have a couple this morning for my medals. I'll start off with my bronze. My first bronze goes to Navy. We had the Army-Navy game on Saturday. A whole lot of fun. I think a lot of people thought with how good Army's been this year, they were in the top 25, that they would cap off a unbelievable season with a win over their arch rival, the Navy.
By the way, yes. Our picking.
Yeah.
Terrible. 1-5 for me.
Okay.
2-4 for you.
A winning week over you.
You got a winning week over me, barely.
That's all that matters.
We both stunk.
Yeah, no, not good picking by either of us. But Navy, they came out hot and had their quarterback back that had missed a handful of games late in the season. He was back. He looked really good, and Navy gets a big win over Army to cap off a really good season for Navy. My other bronze goes to the Eagles. Dave, the storyline of the season in the NFL has been the Steelers, the way they've been winning games, the way they've been covering spreads. They were a 5.5-point underdog Sunday against this Eagles team, and they come out there and win it very convincingly.
Yeah.
This team is legit. After all the issues they had last year,
I agree.
They've turned things around.
Part of my disbelief in the Eagles is last year. They're different this year. Now they got a running back who's a lot better.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to have to start changing my mind about the Eagles. They may be now they're tied with the Lions.
Yeah.
And the Lions we get to in a second with issues that they may be the favorites now in the NFC.
Yeah, no, they're really good, but you're right. It was hard to kind of wash what happened at the end of last season off of this team, but they've done it. They've now successfully washed that off. They're a completely different team and a fun team to watch. My silver, I've got to give it to Arkansas State. You were just talking about them and their win over UAB.
Incredible. 27 down with 16 and a half to
go. Unbelievable. I'm a little higher on this Arkansas State team. I love their head coach. I think their head coach is a really talented guy.
Well, he's a Nate Oates disciple, right? But he coached with him at Buffalo, went to him to Alabama.
Yeah, what did we say, 8 years with him?
Yes. Yeah. And he runs those principles except for one thing.
What's that?
He actually plays defense.
That's right.
I don't think Nate Oates cares if they play defense. He does.
Yeah, and I love what he said after the game. I was watching that game yesterday against UAB, and they interviewed him right after the game on ESPN Plus and kind of asked him, what went into this comeback? What were you telling the guys? And he said exactly what Amir Abdur-Rahim said after the game when USF pulled the big comeback over Memphis last year about how they were just trying to segment the game. He did not want his team to look up at the scoreboard and see down 27 points and think, we got to get all 27 of this back. He said, we had the timeout. We said, I want to get it down to a 20-point game. I want to get it down to a 15-point game. Then at the that next segment, 5 or so minute segment, let's get it down to a 15-point game, a 10-point game. And so that they were just kind of slowly working to get back into that lead. I love that mindset. I think he's a really, really talented coach. I think he's got a pretty good team, and not so good for UAB.
No. That's the kind of loss you might not recover from, seriously.
No, that is a one that could really stick with him. And then my gold has to go to the Memphis Tigers and their win over Clemson. Had a little bit of everything, Dave. Tigers come out red hot to start the game, 10-0. really before you even sat down. We had the weird whole section on the side the camera was pointing to empty at the beginning of the game, and then out of nowhere, all these like kindergartners come in and take their seat. I've never seen an education day on a Saturday. Usually it's,
Right.
you have like a 10 a.m. game on a weekday. The kids get out of school, they go, and I always say bet the home team when you have education days on weekdays because those teams cover. Those kids make it a really, really good environment. But they come in, the play starts to get rocking. Clemson comes back. They take a lead late in the game, but Penny Hardaway calls a timeout. You saw that group of guys make some adjustments. They come out, look really good at the end of that game and into overtime to get the win.
Down 6 with 2:22 to go, I had my moments of doubt.
Yeah, no, I did too.
And Danger came up big in
he's
those
huge.
closing
Yeah.
minutes. Yeah. I don't know if there's a better trio at guard in the country.
Oh,
than
it'd be hard to argue.
Harrington, Hunter,
Yeah.
and Rogers, because they were terrific in that game. All right, let's go to the bad. I knew this would happen. My first loss goes to a backup quarterback at Penn State named Bo Prabula.
Yeah.
Bo, backup QB, basically has said, if I don't enter the portal now, I could lose out because there's other quarterbacks that are in the portal. He's opted out of a playoff game, ladies and gentlemen. If the quarterback at Penn State goes down, there's nobody to back him. Oh, I'm sure there's somebody, but nobody who's taken any real snaps of significance. Bo Prabula opts out of the playoff game. This one should really be tears. We used to do a thing called Cheers, Jeers, and Tears.
Oh, I love it.
This is for the Detroit Lions. They lost 3 defensive players yesterday, and Dan Campbell said most likely out for the year.
Wow.
So they lost that defensive lineman Arrington earlier in the season. So you take a look at that. 4 of their 11 guys, over a third of their defensive team, out now for the year. I think that makes Philly, although that offense is so good, but it may make Philly the favorite to win the NFC. And then my final goes to Indianapolis Colts running back Jonathan Taylor, who apparently had a touchdown, or so he thought, that was going to give the Colts a 14-point lead against the Denver Broncos. But he started to celebrate before he got through past the goal line.
Yeah.
Gave the ball up. Didn't count. Denver goes on to score 24 straight. They lose the football game. If that stays, I'm not sure Denver makes that comeback. So that's the biggest rust to Indy Colts running back Jonathan Taylor.
Wow. Dave, I only have one rust today, but I think it's a pretty big one, and it goes to the transfer portal, but more importantly, the University of Marshall, or Marshall
Oh,
University.
my goodness.
I don't know which one they are.
It's Marshall University.
Is it? I thought so after I said it.
You can just say Thundering Herd. Nobody has
That's
that.
right. The Thundering Herd. They won the Sun Belt Championship game 31-3 over Louisiana. Very convincing win.
Right.
But right after that game was over, head coach Charles Huff was announced that he was going to be taking the job at Southern Miss. Since then, basically the entire roster has entered the transfer portal. They were supposed to play Army in their bowl game, and on Saturday they announced that they would be dropping out of the bowl game because of player safety and really just a lack of players that could go out there and play. So now they've had to replace Marshall in the bowl game. It's just sad. I mean, I know a lot of that team was in the transfer portal, but for that fan base and for those players that stayed, to have such a great season and then not be able to go to a bowl game, just really sad to see.
If they want the bowl games to mean anything, and look, with all the expanded playoffs, there's definitely a loss of emphasis or importance on the bowl games. But if they truly want to keep that tradition going, I mean, it's so simple to me. I'm sure there are reasons why they open up the portal when they do. It's a total disadvantage because they open it up right before the week of the conference championship games. So they actually put those coaches who have won games, who should be rewarded, they actually put them at a disadvantage by opening up the portal when they do. Why don't we just open up the portal January 5th when the bowl season is over?
That
That would save the sanctity of the bowl. There would still be some opt-outs, I suspect, but not as many.
Yeah.
And this guy who opted out of the playoff game is going, there's a bunch of guys that are quarterbacks that are already into the portal.
Yeah.
I can't be left out. So I get it, but it's a simple remedy to me, and I'd love to know the reasoning why they open up the portal when they do, but there's 2 or 3 very obvious reasons why they shouldn't.
Sure, yeah.
And those are our medals. So all brought to you by the Spirit Shop, Eddie Connor's Place. That's at the corner of Poplar and St. Nick, 4848 Poplar to be exact, right down from Clark Tower. You've passed it by a million times. It's that little log cabin, not so little inside. He's got everything you want. Every kind of spirit imaginable, he's got it. Every kind of accessory that would go with a spirit. Say a seasoned rub for a particular craft cocktail. He's got it. Got books. It's got every local beer that you could want. He's got rare bourbons, middle-of-the-range tequilas. He's got up-and-coming wines. He can tell you which will be the next cornerstone. He's going to give you an education along with great service, and he's got all that selection. Great stuff and up-and-coming stuff. Go see Eddie Connor. He's been there since '69 at the Spirit Shop at Poplar and St. Nick. We pause for just a second. When we come back, we'll head to Pittsburgh. Our Hall of Famer on college basketball from the Sporting News, Mike DeCourcy, awaits. He's next.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This holiday season, give the gift of Gould's with a Gould's gift card for someone you love. Relaxation, perfectly gifted, is right for everyone. The gift of tranquility with a Gold Spa gift card is perfect for anyone who deserves a moment to unwind, refresh, and rejuvenate. Because relaxation is the greatest gift of all. Happy holidays from Gould's. Gold Spa, locally owned and operated since 1932.
You get the best of Memphis for lunch and dinner at Elwood Shack. Choose from house pastrami, corned beef, smoked turkey, roast beef, roast pork, beef brisket, and full shoulders, all made in-house. Elwood's fresh baked bread is delivered daily by the hour bakery in Nova. All Elwood's gifts and sweet treats come from Frost Bakery. Open daily for lunch and dinner at Elwood Shack on summer in the Lowe's parking lot. And the newest Elwood's at 4045 and Boston and Northern. Get the best of Memphis anywhere else at Elwood Shack.
The holidays are near, and Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Generators is here to make this season extra cozy and cheerful. For the first 50 customers who purchase a new carrier system, tankless water heater, or a whole home generator, we have a special gift for you. Choose from a $500 gift card or 60 months no interest financing. And don't forget about Choate's Refer a Friend referral program, where you could earn up to $500. Simply refer a friend to use our services, and if they become a customer, you could earn up to a $500 Visa gift card. But hurry, this festive offer will only last through December 20th. Visit ChoatesHVAC.com or call 347-8086 to schedule your free estimate today. And turn to the experts with Choates and let our family serve your family this holiday season.
If wedding bells are in your future, you need an unforgettable engagement ring from a jeweler you can trust. And that's been James Gaddis Jewelers for over 60 years. With a huge selection and the best prices, James Gaddis is a master jeweler and diamondologist. Beautiful jewelry from James Gaddis is always the right choice. Choose from rings to earrings, necklaces to bracelets, and gemstones to watches. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis Jewelers, 4900 Poplar, online at GaddisJewelers.com and Instagram at Gaddis Jewelers. Say I do at James Gaddis Jewelers.
Let's head to Pittsburgh, where a wise man told me just last week, Wolo, don't worry. I mean, come on. It's early in the season. You can all make it up. Don't fret the Arkansas State loss. Oh, how right you were, Mike DeCourcy. The Tiger bounced back over Clemson. You realize now that's 5 quad one wins. Only Auburn has 5 quad one wins. The closest after that is 3 quad one wins. I'm suspecting, Mike, they'll be back in the rankings today after that one.
You know how I feel about the rankings, though.
I know.
I say that because, look, in a week, I guess, well, a week and a half, I'm going to do my first bracket projection. And I will not look at the ranking at all. I'll look at that point, things like how many quad one wins they have. That's going to register. And some of those may slide a little bit, but I don't think most of them. I mean, like Clemson, you can go ahead and put that in bronze and stick it up on the wall. That is not going from quad one to quad two. That is done. Right. And most of, like UConn and Michigan State, those are going to stay quad ones. I mean,
San Francisco could slip because I think they're like, because you know why? This is really not fair. By criteria, honestly, the San Francisco game should be a road game, which would make that a comfortable quad one. But they put it down as a neutral, which it's not right because they put it at the Chase Center and they had their own PA guy, they had their own officials. It was not a Golden State game, so it should be a road game. But the NCAA has deemed it a neutral.
Yeah, that's kind of I don't buy that. I believe that if you control the tickets, then it's not a neutral, no matter where the game is played. And we see this done at a lot of places that will move their home games around. Villanova has in the past. I'm not sure if they are now, but they've moved some of their games to the Sixers Arena over the years.
Yeah.
And so, look, if you play the game in your town and you control the tickets, that's a home game. I don't care where you put it. If you play the game, like if Gonzaga plays in Seattle, and that's a promoter's deal, then that's not a home game. If they play in Spokane and it's a promoter's deal, you can get away, not at the Kennel, but at the downtown arena. You can maybe get away with saying that's not a home game, but
I don't think that should be though. That is a home game. There's not a
I agree.
There's not an opponent fan in the place.
Right, and it's not exactly an easy trip to get to Spokane from anywhere. So yeah, I don't buy that as a neutral court game at all. But San Francisco just went to Loyola, which was undefeated. Loyola of Chicago, right. The Ramblers, they were undefeated, and they took them down by 10. So I don't know that San Francisco's. I think they're going to hang around the top 50, even at that. So we'll see. But regardless,
here's one thing that's very confusing. Later in the year, they are playing Gonzaga at the Chase Center in a conference game. It's listed as a home game for San Francisco.
Oh, there you go.
So how in the world is this not? I don't get that.
Yeah, I think, honestly, I think by the time we get to Selection Sunday, that might be adjudicated differently because that's a hard one to defend. As a neutral court game. That's really that's especially if they're scheduling other home games at the Chase Center. It's really hard to say that's neutral.
Yeah, no, you hope that the committee that ends up putting seating into place will absolutely consider that. I got to ask you this, and obviously we look at it from biased eyes. I think that's a fair assessment, and that is the trio of guards: Haggerty, Hunter, Rogers. I'm not sure there's a better threesome of guards in the country. I'd love your take on that.
Well, they're certainly in that conversation, and what they like. I watched Pitt's trio. Now, Pitt lost one of their three with I think a wrist injury, something like that, about 2-3 weeks ago, and won't see him now for another 2-3 weeks. I thought at one point their three were as good as anybody's, but it's hard to put them in that discussion. I think Auburn's three are really good.
Yeah, they are.
They're a good bunch. But I can't say enough about the development of the players that have come into the Memphis program this season. We're seeing guys get better, commit to the team, commit to each other, commit to winning. That game on Saturday, Clemson's one of the hardest environments to play in because of how they play at home. They are so physical. They are, they play such tight defense. It is not easy to combat that. And then you add in the fact that they played beautifully for 35 out of the 40 minutes, and they had one tough stretch, and Clemson got back into it and took a lead. And a lot of teams at that point say, "Oh, see, we had it and we let it go." And then what did the Tigers do? No, they took it back. That's a significant result. That we see that all the time. It's not anything bad. It's just basketball. It's just how college basketball works. You play great on the road, and you think you're doing great, and then the home team finds that one spurt, and they take it over, and then they finish it. And everything you did great for 30 minutes or whatever, you can take. You can look at the film and say, "Hey, we did all this right, and then we started doing this wrong," but it doesn't add up to anything. But Memphis didn't back down. They didn't back down from the fact that after all that, they had to go an extra 5 minutes. They went out and continued to play. This is not last year's Memphis team. I realize that they're none of the same guys, but it's not the way they were a year ago. This is a different group. I love the way Tyrese Hunter's developed. This is who we thought he'd be when he came to college. And this is who we thought he'd be when he went to Texas. And now he's that guy. And P.J. Haggerty, of course, just needed a bigger stage.
Yeah.
And he's getting it. And I watched that game, the opener against Missouri. And I didn't know P.J. I mean, I didn't have any reason to know him. He played for Tulsa on a team that wasn't very good and put up nice numbers. I didn't really, and I watched him play for 5 minutes. I'm like, wow, this is a guy. I remember texting you about that.
Yep.
That he's really exceptional, and I really like this team, but they have to continue what they have to do that last year's team did not. Is that okay? So they rose to the occasion on Saturday. They rose to the occasion in Maui. Well, the occasion's not necessarily going to need rising for much of what remains after they get through the two Mississippi schools in Virginia. They're going to get back into the AAC, and this is not the AAC of 2 years ago, 3 years, or maybe even last year when FAU was coming off a Final Four. They're going to have to push themselves.
Yep.
A lot of these nights, and believe me, it matters. Ask Gonzaga if it matters, because Gonzaga doesn't get into the seedings they get into, the ones and the twos that they've gotten. They don't get those by going in and going 14-4 or whatever in the WCC. They get in there by going in and dominating, and they'll have a night here or there on the road. There's good basketball out there where they struggle, and I'm talking about past teams. I'm not positive this is a great Gonzaga team. The past teams, the teams that got the ones and the twos, they might have a game like at San Francisco or Santa Clara or whatever, where they had a tough time.
Yeah.
Well, St. Mary's were the good games. Those were the, but the nights when they went to USF or Santa Clara, and those were quality teams, just not good enough to beat them, and then maybe they'd struggle, and every now and then they get upset. Look, you can take some of those, not many, to get where this team is capable of going. And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about toward the top of the bracket.
Well, I agree. I mean, they cannot play the way they did against Arkansas State or Louisiana Tech, but they got to play the way they did against UConn and Clemson. And if they do that, they should be able to dominate that league. By the way, last night, I don't know if you saw it, but UAB had a 27-point lead with 16 and a half minutes to go in the game. And Arkansas State came back and won the game.
Yeah, honestly, the better Arkansas State does now, the better it is for the Tigers.
Absolutely.
Because then it looks less like a blip and more like, hey, we all underestimated them. And that happens, too. We've seen that over the course of recent college basketball history, where someone will get one of these non-conference road wins, and it looks bad at the time, and then all of a sudden by the end of the year, that team's winning its league or whatever, and it turns out to just be a loss against the field, and it doesn't really hurt you. So Tigers fans should be cheering for Ark State almost as hard as they cheer for the Tigers.
I agree. All right, now the SEC is truly an amazing league. I think it's one of the better leagues that I have seen in a long, long time when you look at dominance. They got three teams, Florida, Oklahoma, Tennessee, that have not lost a game. And then they got another 7 teams, so 10 total, with only one loss, including both the Mississippi schools that Memphis is going to take on. Thank goodness those games will be at home. Where do you rank this league for, let's say, the last 10 to 12 years? And I think the only one close would be the Big 12, because the ACC seems to me to be a little down this year.
Well, in this particular season, the Big Ten is the only one that's even in within if I get out my binoculars, I can see them. Everybody else is using the Hubble telescope. They're that far ahead. In terms of seasons, the only things comparable would be the Big 12. I believe it was 2 years ago, where they had all 10 of their teams had NCAA tournament potential as of mid to late February. They all still could make it. It was good. It's never possible to get all of them in. There were 10 at the time. It was never possible to get them all in because eventually somebody would take out one of the others. And they wound up with 7 in. That league had 10 quality teams. There were no bad teams in that year's Big 12. In 2020, the year we didn't have a tournament, the Big Ten was closing in on 10 bids, and there were 12 out of 14 that were in the picture for those 10 as late as maybe the second week or third week of February. And then again, it sorted itself out. Purdue, I think it was, and Minnesota both sort of stepped aside, but the other 10 were all going to go if we'd had a tournament. So those are the only ones comparable. And I think that this is stronger than those because the top of that Big Ten was not exceptional. It was like I said, it was more about the depth. I think the difference here is that the top of this league could be extraordinary. And Alabama, Auburn in particular, I still don't know. I know Kentucky's good, but how good, I still don't 100% know. I know they're better than anybody had a right to expect them to be, but I still don't know if they're a legitimately great team. I saw Tennessee play Illinois. We were covering that game at BTN on Sunday.
Heck of a
game.
It
wasn't on Saturday. It wasn't on our air, but we covered that game for our big show. And I like their team. They're very together. They're very resilient and resourceful. They still don't know that the offensive dynamism to make them extraordinary is there. But I could see them winning the league, even in a league like this, because they're going to be impossible to beat at home. At the Thompson Bowling, impossible to beat them there. And defense travels, and they're always going to play great defense.
They do. I will say this is how good this league is. Alabama, when I look at their roster, Memphis played them in an exhibition game. They got 6 1,000-point scorers, okay? 6. They're 8-2. That is tied for no, that's not tied. That's 14th in the SEC. That's bizarre. That's crazy. All right, last thing. We got about 3 minutes. You wrote an interesting story about AJ, and I hope I pronounce this correctly. Dibansa?
Yes.
How about that? The kid from BYU, 6'9" guy, one-and-done player. You wrote that in talking about how successful one-and-dones have been for various coaches. And really, Mike Krzyzewski and John Calipari are the most successful in that regard. Now we got the transfer portal. So I'm really curious about your thoughts about one-and-done guys, high school guys, versus the Alabamas of the world that took all these transfers, 1,000-point scorers, fifth-year seniors. Which is the better way to go?
If I have my choice between those two things, I mean, obviously, it has to be a 1,000-point scorer that can play. I mean, but
right.
If you look at Mark Sears, that's a terrific player. But they've gotten 3 years out of him.
Right.
When they took Grant Nelson a year ago, I'm not sure that they were 100% sure they'd get a second year, but they did. And if you take AJ, you're not getting a second year unless something awful happens, and we all, of course, don't want that.
Right.
He's going. So there's that factor, and there's the factor that they have experience and they know how to play and they know how to be teammates. And if you're talking about a fourth or fifth year guy, especially if he's only been at one school and it's a mid-major and now he's looking for a bigger stage, he's not looking for quite the same thing. There are fewer people, even though they all have agents now, there are fewer vested interests in telling you what to do with that player than there would be with a guy who is a projected 1 or 2 pick. And I think it's just hard sometimes for a 19-year-old to understand how to impact a college game consistently. Now, if you are able to do what John was doing 15 years ago or so, and you can get John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins, and you already have Patrick Patterson on the team, et cetera, that works because you've got talent. But if you're just bringing in one guy and surrounding him with a lot of okay guys, that it has not worked anywhere, and it's been devastating for a lot of programs. I had a list of something like 8 coaches who had been fired very soon after they had one-and-done players in their programs. Then that's not even the complete list because someone said to me, hey, Chris Holtman had that happen too at Ohio State. So, honestly, it's to Penny's credit and that he's been able to survive it. The James Weissman thing would have wrecked a lot of places, and it certainly hurt the Tigers.
Oh, definitely. Well,
But they were able to come back the next year and be significant. That was the year they lost to FAU in the first round, I believe.
Well, they should. That game, that game still bugs the heck out of me. They should have had a timeout.
I guess it was a couple of years later, but he was able to rebuild it to where they had a team that, honestly, lacking a missed call, might have made. Hey, they would at least have gone another round. They might have made it all the way. They certainly would have gone to the Sweet 16 if that timeout had been granted.
Yeah. Well, and that team, that FAU team then beat Tennessee and what was it, Duke, somebody like that they got to the Final Four.
Kansas State was it? Yeah, it was Kansas State.
Kansas State. All right, if you give me that option, I'm taking transfer portal seniors every day of the week, and I'm going to give you the reason why. Even the best one and done guy that I got to witness, Derrick Rose, it took him almost 2/3 of a year before he finally got in. Even Duran wasn't really good until maybe the last 10 games.
Yeah.
So it takes those one and done guys a little bit to get used to the pace of college play. Cooper Flagg might be a little different. He seems to be pretty good right off the bat.
Yeah, there are exceptions to that. I mean, Cooper, Anthony Davis, John Wall, Jalil Okafor back in his day in 2014-15. There are exceptions to that, but they're not abundant.
No.
One year Markelle Fultz was the number 1 overall pick in the draft. I think he
remember.
played 26 games. He missed them with injury. He played 26 games. That team won, I believe, if I remember correctly, 7 games.
Jeez. As always, interesting. We'll talk next week, my friend, on Christmas Eve Day. I look forward to it.
A pleasure. I'll look forward to it, too.
Thank you much. That's the Hall of Famer from the Sporting News, Mike DeCourcy, brought to you by Southern Security. Whether you're a small business owner, single mom, buying your first home, Southern Security is there to be your trusted financial partner for over 75 years. That's what they've been doing, serving the Mid-South with the best rates, best service, newest technology. They've been voted best credit union in the Mid-South for the last 6 years. You can join so easily. Become a part of the Southern Security family by visiting southernsecurity.org or call. Yeah, they'll let you talk to a person at 901-452-7900. Southern Security is a proud supporter of U of M Athletics and 901 Women, and they are your home team credit union, federally insured by NCUA. We go to Atlanta. Our coach, John Thompson, standing by. He comes your way next.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roofing. Did you know there are so many roofing companies in Memphis that I don't even know them all? So that begs the question, which one should you choose? So I thought I'd give you a little background about me. My grandfather was a World War II Marine. My father worked for the University of Memphis for nearly 30 years. My mother, a pianist at Raleigh Baptist Church. Seems like forever. I went to Brownsville Road, Craigmont, and Bartlett High School, class of 81. We support the local school systems, youth athletics, and believe in what St. Jude and Le Bonheur stand for. I'm a Tiger and Grizz fan. The point? Memphis is my home. Five-Ash Roofing will be around if you ever have a problem with the service we provide. Five-Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical, with deep local ties in our community. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you.
Napa Cafe celebrates 26 years in 2024. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. If you are a first-time guest or have dined with us countless times, I want to thank you for making us part of your lives. Whether you're celebrating with the crowd or planning a cozy date night on the town, Napa Cafe can provide you an extraordinary evening. We have 5 dining rooms, including our private wine cellar, our Jan's room for 2 guests, and the Eleanor room for parties up to 60. Sit back, relax, and celebrate. Leave the cooking to us. Come see me at Napa Cafe, 5101 Sanderlin Avenue. We're open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. We also offer curbside pickup from our full menu. For details on our stay-in, dine-out menu or reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe in 2024. We can't wait to serve you.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at triumphautosales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
Let's head down to Atlanta, where our coach is going to talk college football playoffs. Kind enough to get out of a meeting to chat with us. Good morning, John Thompson.
Good morning. How you doing, Davey?
I'm doing great. We got the Battle of Indiana to begin with. Indiana at Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish with one of the weaker schedules. Beat USC, beat Army at the end of the year to get their ranking, to get the home game against an Indiana team. They're 7.5-point favorites. Wow. Marcus Freeman, by the way, just got himself a nice contract extension. How do you break that game down? Good morning for sure.
Good morning for sure. Hey, I think that's going to be one of the most fun games to watch. I mean, you talked about Notre Dame not having a schedule. You got to put Indiana in that thing too. Now, Indiana is not really played anybody, but what Indiana really has done more than anything else, they've had a formula to win. They don't turn it over and they don't give up big plays, and you're going to win when you do that. We talk about that every week, but as they say, not so fast. I think Notre Dame takes it, Notre Dame's got Jeremiah Love. The running back's playing pretty good, but I think these are both two pretty average teams that have played very, very below average schedule.
Of course, the winner would get Georgia, so I think whoever wins that game will lose the next week. Of course, we'll talk about that the following Monday. Then you've got SMU bought their way into the ACC and then win get to the conference title game, and unbelievable last 17 seconds cost them the game for Clemson. But they got to go to Happy Valley to take on Penn State, where the backup quarterback, we knew this was going to happen eventually, Bo Prabula, the backup Penn State QB, has opted out of a playoff game. Whew, man.
Yeah, what a shame. It's gonna still be happening, and but they still, Penn State really is the better team. But here's my upset pick. I'm picking SMU on this one. I think my man Rhett Lashley, one of the hottest coaches in the country, and Kevin Jennings, a hot quarterback for them. And Rhett came from Miami. He brought a lot of Miami transfers. Got a lot of NIL money in Dallas, and I think they're going to be. This is going to be a motivational game for SMU in a lot of ways. I think Tom Allen, when you talk about the game before, who was the Indiana coach a year ago. He's a defensive coordinator at Penn State, and he'll bring a lot of pressure on Jennings. But I think Jennings is going to have a big game. I think SMU wins that game. I'm looking forward. Those two games all four of them are going to be great games to watch, I think.
Well, Penn State's an 8.5-point favorite in the game, and you've got the Mustangs straight up over the Lions.
Straight up. Okay. Stepping out.
The last team. What? Finish that.
I was just saying. No, that's good. And then they got a chance. Whoever does that, and they play Boise. So who's?
That's right.
They're sitting in a good spot, both of them, both Penn State and SMU. But SMU then beats Boise. So Cinderella.
Wow.
Cinderella.
You got SMU all the way. Well, we'll talk about that next week. Let's get to Clemson, the 16th seed, the winners, an incredible comeback, or not comeback, but to finish the game off against Texas. The Longhorns, again, they haven't beaten a top 25 team yet this year, are 11.5-point favorites in this game. How do you see this one?
Yeah, I think it's going to be more than 11.5. It's just, you can't run the football on Texas. And for Clemson to, in my opinion, to have a shot, they got to shorten the game. They got to wear them down. They got to big play them. I don't think they can do any of those. And it's really, Clemson's going to have to throw the football, and it'll be really a matchup, I think, from Clemson's really young wide receiver against Texas defensive backs, because I don't think Clemson will even try to run the football against them. And if they do, they'll be punting more than they'll do anything else. So I think Texas is going to be there, and then they get a little shot at Arizona State right down the road from me. So that'll be a good one.
Then you've got the toughest one, I think, to call. Tennessee has to go to the Horseshoe in Columbus to take on Ohio State, and Ohio State is a 7-point favorite in that game.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they are. Well, obviously, because that's where all the money's being put. But Tennessee's given up less than 3 yards of play or rush. The 2.9, I think, is what it is. Mm-hmm. But they play so many people up front. And Ohio State has got to get their run game going. I don't see that happening. I think Ohio State's going to have trouble with Tennessee's defensive line, because their offensive line is really not that good. I think Tim Banks will bring the heat on Ohio State, not like they've seen in the Big Ten. And I just don't think you can beat Tennessee at the line of scrimmage. I think that's where everybody looks at and thinks about Heupel as spreading it out and throwing it all down the field. They win at the line of scrimmage, and it's going to take speed for Ohio State to counter that. I just don't think they have it. Maybe they'll come up with a little Chip Kelly magic from the old days, but I see the Volunteers. Having their way with the Buckeyes.
I lean that way because people forget how good Tennessee can run the ball too. So
no question.
That'll be a lot of fun to watch. All right, last question off of this, because the Tennessee State Legislature is trying to pour down the TSSAA's throat a rule. And you are a coach of one of the better programs, high school programs in the state of Georgia. In Tennessee, they would like to see a free year, a transfer rule, one time per each high school player. No matter where you go, you are allowed to transfer without losing that year of eligibility. You play right away. And I think this is going to happen. And I'm okay with that, because I think a kid should have if he can't play at one school, let him go to the other. I don't have a problem with that. What do you as a coach think of that rule?
Well, I understand your compassion for the kid, and I do too, and I agree with you. You should have your choice. But there are going to be way too many people that get involved in this. It's going to come out. There's going to be financial situations that come out of this. It's going to be total chaos. Now, I understand it. That's what the NCAA is going to, or already is doing that. But to have pure high school football that ain't happening anymore. There's some other states that do it already. They got to follow the law, and the law, it allows you to have freedom of choice. I get that, but to be able to, there's a lot of different rules out there. 50 miles, sit out for 15 days, all kinds of stuff. So I think it looks like to me Tennessee's just going to wipe their hands of it and say, hey, you can go for a year, and then but what's going to stop you when it's a year, then it's 2 years, and it's 3 years, and I think it's a probably necessary, but I don't think it's good. It's not good.
He is our coach, John Thompson, down in Atlanta. His picks are in. We'll revisit this next Monday. Thank you so much, John.
Appreciate it, man. Have a great day.
You too.
Have a good luck to the Tigers.
We'll need it tomorrow in Frisco. That is John Thompson. He's brought to you by Grind City Brewing, that wonderful place that always has the best beers. They've got the best venue for concerts. They've got a wonderful modern brewery, and they got this new thing called Gator Patrol. So it's different. It is a tangerine cream sour. It's sweet tart. It's refreshing. And it's balanced with this hint of cream. It makes it so good. So you got tangerine sweetness. You got the little subtle hint of cream. It is really a wonderful drink. Everything from Grind City, in my estimation, is terrific. Go check it out yourself. It's the latest from Grind City. It's Gator Patrol, the tangerine cream sour. I'll miss you tomorrow, but we'll recap the Frisco Bowl Wednesday morning live from Dallas. Johnny Radio's right around the corner. Have a great day, everyone.
Want to make this the most unforgettable Christmas in Genesis time? It's easy to do. Because it's Christmas, Family Leisure needs your help. Family Leisure has inventory that is up to move because you know it's Christmas. So don't wait. You can complete